You ever feel like someone's inside your head, messing with you? Like there's this voice constantly telling you you're not good enough, you'll fail, you should just quit. What if that voice isn't yours? What if every fear, every distraction, every intrusive thought that's holding you back was planted there by something you can't see? Something that's been controlling humanity for thousands of years, feeding off your pain like a parasite. I know that sounds insane, but stay with me because what you're about to discover will change how you see everything. Your thoughts, your reality, even your understanding of God Himself. Hidden in ancient texts that the church tried to destroy, there's a warning about invisible entities called the archons. In Greek, the word means rulers. But these aren't politicians or kings. They're cosmic parasites, born from a crack in the universe itself. And their only job is to keep you asleep, afraid, and forgetting who you really are. They don't need physical bodies. They work through your mind, whispering lies, amplifying your worst fears, keeping you trapped in endless cycles of suffering, stress, and distractions. Right now, millions of people are fighting battles they don't even understand, battling forces that twist their thoughts, cloud their judgment, and pull them away from any real sense of peace or purpose. If you've ever felt like something is deliberately sabotaging your life, blocking your growth, keeping you stuck, you're not paranoid. You're just starting to wake up. This isn't some conspiracy theory. This is ancient knowledge that's been suppressed for centuries, because once you understand it, once you see what's really running the show, the whole system starts to fall apart. In this video, I'm going to break down exactly who the archons are, where they came from, how they control you, and most importantly, how you can finally break free. Because the moment you stop playing their game, you take your power back. Let's dive in. To understand the archons, we need to go back, way back, to a time before time even existed. This isn't the story they taught you in church. This is the original creation myth from the Gnostics, ancient mystics who were hunted down and erased from history because their teachings threatened everything the establishment stood for. According to the Gnostics, the universe didn't begin with some old man in the sky creating the world in 7 days. It started with pure consciousness, infinite light, what they called the Source, or the true God, also known as the Monad. From this source came divine beings called eons, radiant entities living in perfect harmony in a dimension called the Pleroma, which means fullness. Think of it as the ultimate paradise, a realm of pure spirit where there's no pain, no lies, no death, just truth and light. Among these divine beings was Sophia, the embodiment of wisdom. But Sophia made a catastrophic mistake. Driven by curiosity and passion, she tried to create something on her own, without her divine partner. That act shattered the cosmic balance, and what she gave birth to was something horrifying, a twisted, deformed being called Yaldabaoth. Yaldabaoth wasn't like the other eons. He was cut off from the light, ignorant of anything beyond himself, and filled with arrogance. He looked around and thought, "I'm the only God here." So he declared, "I am God, and there is no other beside me." Sound familiar? That exact line shows up in the Bible, in the Old Testament. But here's the bombshell. The Gnostics claimed that wasn't the true God speaking. That was Yaldabaoth, a false god, a blind pretender who didn't even know there was a higher reality above him. And Yaldabaoth didn't stop there. He created his own universe, a cheap imitation of the Pleroma, a material world, our world. But it wasn't made with love. It was built from ignorance, ego, and control. And to rule over this fake reality, he spawned the Archons, a gang of lesser beings, cosmic enforcers whose only purpose was to keep this counterfeit world running and trap souls inside it. Here's the kicker. The Archons can't actually create anything. They can only copy, distort, and control. They have no divine spark, no soul, no real power of their own. So what did they do? They built systems, hierarchies, religions, rules, laws, power structures designed to keep you obedient, distracted, and disconnected from your true nature. In the Gnostic worldview, Earth isn't some gift from a loving creator. It's a prison, a carefully designed trap meant to keep your soul locked in ignorance. And the God that most people worship in churches, mosques, and temples, the Gnostics said that might not be the real source. That could be Yaldabaoth, the demiurge, the false god who craves worship and obedience but knows nothing about true freedom or awakening. This flips everything upside down. It means your purpose here isn't to bow down to some authority figure in the sky. It's to wake up, to remember who you really are, to break out of the illusion and return to the light. The Archons have zero power over anyone who remembers the truth. But for the billions walking around asleep, distracted by bills, drama, and social media, the Archons run the show from the shadows. And once you understand where they came from, you start to see their fingerprints everywhere. So where exactly do the Archons fit into all of this? What's their role in the grand cosmic scheme? In Gnostic cosmology, there's a hierarchy. At the very top, you've got the Pleroma, the realm of pure spirit where the true God and the aeons exist in perfect unity. At the bottom, you've got dense physical matter, the material world we live in. And somewhere in between, there's a kind of shadow zone, a liminal space where the Archons operate. They're not fully spiritual, and they're not fully physical either. They exist in what the Gnostics called the psycho-spiritual planes, a dimension close enough to our reality to influence our thoughts and emotions, but far enough from the light that they remain trapped in darkness. Yaldabaoth, the false god, created them out of his own ignorance and arrogance. He believed he was the supreme ruler, so he appointed the Archons as his administrators, his cosmic middle managers. Each one was given control over different aspects of reality, planets, elements, even parts of the human experience. They became the governors of fate, time, structure, the architects of a simulated reality that looks like the divine order, but is actually a hollow imitation. This is why the Gnostics called our world a prison planet. Not because nature is evil or the earth itself is bad, but because the invisible systems running behind the scenes have been designed to keep you from seeing the truth. The Archons don't want you to wake up. They need you asleep. And here's what makes them so dangerous. They're not demons in the traditional sense. They're not horned monsters with pitchforks. They're cosmic bureaucrats, enforcers of an illusion. Their job is to maintain what the Gnostics called the veil of forgetfulness, a barrier that clouds your perception and keeps your soul trapped in cycles of birth, suffering, and spiritual amnesia. According to the ancient writings, the Archons feed on fear, pain, and confusion. And let's be honest, our world is drowning in all three. Their power isn't direct violence, it's influence. They plant false narratives, sustain corrupt systems, and twist your intuition so you can't hear the voice of your true self. You can see their fingerprints everywhere, in dogmatic religions that value blind obedience over personal experience, in governments that trade freedom for the illusion of security, in corporations that keep you working yourself to death for scraps, in media that bombards you 24/7 with fear, division, and distraction. These aren't just random problems. They're features of a system designed to keep your consciousness fragmented and controlled. Even modern technology, which should be liberating us, has become a tool of disconnection. Social media algorithms, endless notifications, dopamine loops, all of it pulls you away from stillness, from introspection, from the quiet place where you might actually hear your soul speak. But here's the thing the Archons fear most: awakening. The moment you experience gnosis, direct inner knowing of the divine, they lose their grip. When you pierce through the veil and see reality for what it truly is, their whole game falls apart. Their power is completely dependent on your ignorance. The second you stop buying into their lies, their false hierarchy starts to crumble. That's why this knowledge has been suppressed for so long. That's why the Gnostics were hunted down and their texts burned. Because the truth sets you free, and free people can't be controlled. If the Archons are real, how do they actually mess with you? Unlike demons in horror movies bursting through walls with fire and fury, Archons are far more subtle and dangerous. They don't destroy you outright. They infiltrate, whisper, plant seeds of doubt, fear, confusion, then watch you destroy yourself. Gnostics taught Archons infiltrate mind, not body. They exploit the gap between thoughts and awareness. You know that voice telling you you're not smart enough, attractive enough, worthy of love? That sudden irrational fear before taking a risk? That crushing shame paralyzing you from moving forward? Those aren't random. Those are engineered responses designed to lower your frequency, keep you locked in fear, guilt, confusion. Archons don't create new thoughts. They recycle old wounds, magnify past traumas, reinforce limiting beliefs carried since childhood. Over time, this shapes your internal reality, and your internal reality creates your external one. You become prisoner of your own programmed mind without realizing it. But their influence goes way beyond individual psychology. Archons operate through systems and structures, religions demanding obedience instead of awakening, governments trading freedom for false safety, education systems punishing curiosity, rewarding memorization, media flooding brains with fear, outrage, division 24/7. These aren't accidents but archonic blueprints. Hierarchy over harmony, control over creativity, fear over love. Even modern technology, supposed to connect us, has become disconnection weapon. Algorithms keep you scrolling, chasing dopamine hits, never giving silence moments where you might hear your soul speak. You're bombarded with notifications, distractions, endless content, all designed to keep you from turning inward, sitting in stillness, asking big questions. One of the most dangerous archonic tactics is mimicry. They know how to imitate the divine voice. This is the false light phenomenon. You might think you've encountered an angel, spirit guide, higher power, but in reality, you've been tricked by archonic projection. These beings know how to dress in spiritual clothing, sound wise, comforting, enlightening. But their message always leads you away from your power, back into dependency, confusion, fear. This is why Gnostics warned against worshiping external gods or blindly trusting spiritual experiences, because the only true guidance comes from within, from the divine spark inside that Archons can never touch. But here's good news. Despite all tricks, despite deep infiltration into every society aspect, Archons are not all-powerful. Their entire operation depends on one thing: your unconscious agreement. The moment you wake up, start observing thoughts instead of identifying with them, question systems you've been taught to trust, their grip begins weakening. Awareness is freedom's beginning. That's exactly why Archons fear human awakening more than anything. Because when enough people start seeing through illusion, when enough souls remember who they really are, the ancient control machinery starts breaking down. Archons feed on inner chaos and outer conformity. They give just enough comfort to prevent rebellion, just enough fear to prevent questioning. But once you see the pattern, once you realize the doubt voice isn't yours, you start reclaiming something they can never take: your sovereignty, your light, your right to be free. A lot of people today feel something seriously wrong with the world. Like reality feels fake, manipulated, scripted. That gut feeling isn't new. Long before The Matrix became a blockbuster, ancient Gnostic texts described the same thing: false reality, spiritual simulation built by Archons to trap human consciousness. In Gnostic view, what we think is the real world isn't real. It's a mirror world, carefully constructed illusion designed to keep souls asleep, disconnected from truth. Archons are the architects, but their tools aren't machines or code. They're belief systems, language, thought loops, social conditioning, energetic manipulation. Their goal is simple: disconnect you from the divine spark within, replace authentic spiritual experience with artificial substitutes. Religion becomes empty ritual. Education becomes memorization without understanding. Work becomes survival with no deeper meaning. They create just enough comfort to prevent questioning, while flooding senses with distractions, shutting down critical thinking. Every matrix layer, from government to entertainment to economy, serves one purpose: keep your awareness locked on the outer world, bury inner truth under noise, stress, speed. In this system, time itself becomes weapon. Archons use it for control, trapping you in linear thinking and endless cycles of urgency, regret, future anxiety. The constant, not enough time feeling pulls you from the present moment, the eternal now, where truth lives. You're always rushing, behind, chasing something just out of reach, by design. Identity is another trap. You're taught to define yourself by race, nationality, gender, job, political party. The more fragmented, the easier to control. The archonic matrix loves division, thrives on it. Divided populations never unite to question who's really running the show. Here's the genius. The matrix makes the cage invisible, convinces you you're free. You can vote, right? Choose what to buy, where to work, what to watch. But those aren't real choices. You're only choosing between pre-approved options, left or right, science or religion, work or poverty. None lead to true sovereignty because all are still inside the cage. Gnostics called this the world of appearances, realm ruled by false rulers offering freedom in form, never in essence. It's a stage, theater, and you've been cast as actor in someone else's script. But the matrix has cracks, moments of déjà vu, intuition flashes, strange synchronicities, sudden insights from nowhere. These aren't glitches, but messages from your true self, reminders there's more to reality than you've been told. When you meditate, fast, break normal routines and habits, the veil thins. You catch pleroma glimpses, the realm beyond this fake reality. You start asking forbidden questions. Who am I really? What is this place? Who benefits from my ignorance? Archons spent thousands of years building this system, layer by layer, lie by lie. But it depends on one critical factor: your belief. The matrix isn't held together by their power, but your agreement. Every time you obey from fear, conform without questioning, or numb yourself with distractions, you reinforce your own prison walls. But every time you stop, breathe, remember. Every time you question the narrative and choose awareness over autopilot, those walls crack. The system doesn't collapse through violence or revolution, but through remembrance. When you remember who you are, where you came from, why you're here, the game changes. You're no longer prisoner. You become free being, someone seeing through illusion, walking beyond bounds of counterfeit creation. So now that you know the matrix is fake and the archons are running the show, what do? How do you actually break free? Awareness is powerful, but it's not enough. You can know all about the prison and still be locked inside. The Gnostics didn't just describe the cage, they gave us the keys to escape. These weren't rituals or dogmas, they were inner technologies, practical strategies for awakening that are just as relevant today as they were 2,000 years ago. The foundation of Gnostic liberation is gnosis, direct, experiential divine knowledge, not belief, not faith, not someone else's interpretation. Gnosis is personal, soul-deep knowing beyond doubt, beyond thought. It doesn't come from books or gurus, but from within, through deep silence, contemplation, stripping away everything false. Archons operate in thought's realm, but gnosis begins in stillness beyond thought. This makes meditation, what Gnostics called going inward, revolutionary. In quiet, present moments, free from mental chatter, you see what's real versus programmed. You hear your soul again, unfiltered, unmanipulated. Another essential practice is discernment, distinguishing your true inner voice from archonic interference. Not every thought, feeling, or spiritual experience is yours. Ask, does this lead to fear, shame, paralysis, or clarity, peace, expansion? Archons speak in urgency, guilt, anxiety. The divine speaks in calm, quiet knowing. Developing this subtle awareness reclaims your mental sovereignty, stops you being a puppet. Gnostics also taught emotional mastery. Archons feed on emotional chaos, fear, rage, envy, despair. By cultivating inner balance, you starve them. This isn't suppression, but awareness without identification. Feel emotions fully without letting them run your life. Watch them like clouds passing. Acknowledge, but don't become them. This weakens archonic grip, strengthens clarity. But knowledge without action is trap. Liberation requires courage to walk away from toxic systems, question lifelong beliefs, live in alignment with truth even when uncomfortable or lonely. It might mean leaving soul-draining jobs, cutting off relationships keeping you small, confronting lies you've told yourself. The path isn't easy, but every truth act ruptures the matrix. Every awareness choice weakens the control web.
Gnostics valued community differently than religions. They gathered not to worship distant gods, but to remind each other of their true identity. Today, finding like-minded souls valuing awareness, authenticity, inner work can accelerate liberation. Not because they save you, but because they mirror your awakening. Help you stay grounded when the world pulls you back to sleep. Finally, liberation isn't destination. It's process, practice, way of being. Archons won't vanish overnight. Their whispers may still appear. But the more you choose presence over programming, clarity over confusion, sovereignty over submission, the more immune you become. You're not a victim in cosmic schemes. You're divine intelligence spark, infinite light being navigating shadow. When you truly remember that, embody it, the entire system crumbles from within. For centuries, Gnostic teachings were buried, banned, burned. They were called heresy, driven underground by empires that feared them. But like a seed beneath the soil, Gnosis never died. It just waited for the right moment, and that moment is now. We're living in unprecedented times. Old systems are cracking. The illusions holding society together, governments, religions, economies, media, are collapsing under their own lies. People everywhere are questioning everything: purpose, identity, reality itself. And in that questioning, something ancient stirs, the soul's memory of buried truth. The Gnostics said the divine spark within us cannot be extinguished. It only sleeps. And now, as shadows grow darker, more people are waking up. Information is no longer controlled by elites. The Nag Hammadi discoveries, once locked in academic vaults, are now one click away. People who've never heard the word Gnostic still sense the same truths. Something's wrong with this world. There's more to life than survival and consumption. We've been massively deceived. This isn't coincidence, it's resonance. Gnosis returns not as religion, but as frequency, a vibration calling those ready to remember. Scientists explore consciousness, echoing mystical teachings. Quantum physicists question reality's fabric. Psychologists recognize inner awareness over external control. Artists, dreamers, rebels, healers worldwide step into new roles, not as belief system leaders, but as bridges between seen and unseen. The veil thins. As it thins, archons grow desperate. Their system can't survive when people think freely, feel deeply, choose presence over programming. But Gnosis's return isn't automatic. It's invitation, not guarantee. Each must choose, wake or sleep, face uncomfortable truths or cling to comfortable illusions. Archons don't fear protests. They fear the quiet moment when someone turns inward and remembers who they are. In that moment, their grip slips. This knowledge resurfaces because the world is ready. You are ready. Gnosis returns not to save humanity, but so humanity can save itself through remembrance. The remembrance that you are not broken, not fallen, not separate. You are infinite spark temporarily wandering through a dream. Once you realize that, the dream transforms. So here we are, the final choice. You've seen the illusion's architecture, the archons, the matrix, the control layers shaping your thoughts, your world, yourself. But this isn't just information, it's a mirror, recognition. Deep down, you've always known something was off. You felt it your whole life. That nagging sense this world isn't right, that you weren't put here to pay bills, follow orders, forget yourself. You came for something bigger. You came to wake up. Archons rule only with your permission. The Matrix holds only if you stop questioning. Illusion survives only when you forget your nature. But inside, beneath noise and programming, something remains untouchable. Divine spark that existed before this world will exist after. That spark can't be stolen, only forgotten or remembered. The world keeps pulling, tempting with comfort, bombarding with distraction. But every breath in stillness, every awareness moment is a doorway. Back to Gnosis, sovereignty, truth. You don't need to escape this world, just see it clearly. Because once you remember who you are, everything changes. You're no longer a pawn, you become the player. The light darkness cannot touch. This is the moment we've awaited. Not some savior from above, but awareness rising within. You're not here by accident, not powerless, not alone. The final choice isn't out there, it's inside you. So breathe deep, close your eyes, and remember,